you and I kind of talked a little bit in the Instagram chat about how important representation is to have a character that you can sort of identify with. But you're also touching on some broader ideology and aspects there that I want to kind of unpack a little bit and explore, because I think we can probably all agree. Now, again, I want to make sure that we're clear. When I brought this up to JS, two cis white guys aren't going to sit here and have this conversation, because what's the point, right? Like, that would be the dumbest. Like, we don't have any level of experience to be able to speak on this. But I think we can probably all agree here in the channel that extremism on either end of a spectrum is typically a bad thing. So talk to me a little bit, Tim, about someone like, and I'm just going to pull a couple of names out of the hat, and if you know them, great. If you don't, but someone like Jackie Robinson, or someone like Willie O'Ree, the first Black NHL player, or someone like Sidney Poitier. What trailblazers, absolutely. But what did those individuals outside of geekdom, what did those individuals mean for you just as a kid growing up and seeing these guys either play baseball or play hockey or act up on screen and get Oscars and such, but also trailblazers to help the movement forward, to help the greater ideology forward? What did that mean to you, and how does that still sort of affect you moving forward?
Well, I mean, I feel like as a kid, me personally, a lot of these names were kind of pointed out to me, but in passing and during, Black History Month, and in a way where they were more kind of checking a box. I don't know if it was because the teachers didn't know a lot about it, or because they didn't care a lot about it. Either way, there wasn't a lot of time spent on these things. So even though there are names that, I can kind of recall as being these historical Black figures, I can't exactly say that they had a big impact on me, unfortunately. And I think that's a tragedy. And, as a much older adult now, looking back on a lot of things that I, wasn't taught or failed to notice, and things like, it kind of hurts a little bit, and it's disappointing. There's a disappointment in myself and not treasuring that history more, and kind of taking more of an initiative to look into it. But there's also an anger and bitterness for, the hands that, kind of dealt my education out, and the people that picked my curriculum, and the, again, not blaming the teachers, but just, the powers that be that handed the education I was given over to me, and how certain things were omitted and certain things were kind of whitewashed and so on. But I will say, I mean, I knew that these things were important, but unfortunately, and from my own perspective, I wasn't really taught to glorify these things as much as I should have.
Then let me hit you with one that I'm pretty sure you do relate to. How about Nichelle Nichols?
Yes, that of course was a huge one. Yeah, big one, big time.
Star Trek here, and I remember too the stories that she told about when she was about to leave the show. She was considering leaving the show. She runs into Martin Luther King, and he says, "Please don't leave. You don't know what you are. You are a massive representative for the entirety of Black culture on a nationally broadcast television show that millions of people are watching and they're passionate about." Obviously, that had a bigger impact on you as opposed to some of the other you mentioned. So, talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I should have prefaced my previous statement with the fact that I'm not a very athletic or very sports inclined person. Not the biggest.
Fair enough.
So maybe I should have said that first.
Tim's not a hockey fan.
Well, I was trying to keep Uhura in my back pocket. I'm like, oh yeah, but then I'm like, all right.
I bet. I got something for you. No, but obviously she was huge. I mean, I grew up watching Star Trek. It was one of the biggest influences in my childhood and young adult life. And even now as an older adult, it's still a huge influence in a lot of what I do, the way I think, the way I try and raise my daughter and stuff. But seeing, Nichelle Nichols, and then finding out about her history and knowing the impact that she had on the Kings and how they watched her as, watched Star Trek as a family, because it was such a monumental thing to see, an African-American on screen as a peer with her white counterparts, not just working for them or working under them. with talking lines and actually having, you know, her own storylines here and there. And actually, you know, the famous kiss, even though they were made to kiss under duress, it was still a kiss that was that ruffled feathers that they knew was going to upset a lot of people. But yeah, it was a huge influence on me. And, you know, kind of fast forwarding a little bit, you know, seeing Geordie LaForge, you know, and seeing, you know, Benjamin Sisko, and now seeing Michael Burnham and stuff like that. It's incredibly important to I think everybody, and not just fans of these intellectual properties, but for people who aren't even fans, people that are just noticing this stuff in their periphery, that they see representation being carried out. And it doesn't need to be one of those check every box kind of things, like, you know, shoehorn a bunch of characters that are all different colors and have different.
We're definitely going to explore that
That's
too. Yeah, for
something I
sure.
want to talk about.
But
we will.
It's there's got to be an authenticity to it. So that means making sure that you are hiring the right people in production, the right writers, the right casting agents, the right people who can make sure that that idea is being carried through all the way through.
Thanks for watching this Geek Boutique podcast snippet. If you'd like to listen to the full episode, head on over to either geekboutique.podbean.com or your favorite podcast platform of choice. Please make sure you click that like and subscribe button, and don't forget to also click the notification bell. That way you'll make sure you never miss an upload. But that'll be it for today. Stay geeky, everybody. I'll see you next time.